Jeffrey 可以把他的这个英文的这样子的节目带到台湾来。那今天晚上的表演分成两个部分，第一个部分呢是故事的部分，然后第二个部分是英国的诗歌的部分。那所以在两个节目当中，我们会有5分钟的休息时间，然后让大家可以稍微呼吸一下，然后转换一下心情，进入这个不同的言说的领域当中。那第一个部分的故事呢，等一下老师希望你们能够注意的用耳朵听，或者是听听看，或者是看看他的动作，在这个声音当中可以带出来什么样不同的动物的状态。然后你们可以注意看一下，到底在这个故事这个大象的鼻子为什么会这么长？在这个故事当中呢，看到底这个有不同的动物，它们是怎么样帮助这个很好奇的这个小象，他问了一个问题，然后怎么样这些动物帮助他去找到为什么最后他的鼻子会这么长呢？好，那就邀请 Jeffrey 老师，然后来为大家带来这个精彩的表演。
In the high and far off times, O best beloved, the elephant had no trunk. He had only a blackish bulgy nose as big as a boot that he could wriggle about from side to side. But he couldn't pick up things with it. But there was one elephant, a new elephant, an elephant's child, who was full of insatiable curiosity. And that means he asked, oh dear, ever so many questions. And he lived in Africa. And he filled all Africa with his insatiable curiosity. He asked his tall aunt, the ostrich, why her tail feathers grew just so. And his tall aunt, the ostrich, spanked him with her hard claw, dish, ow! And he asked his broad aunt, the hippopotamus, why her eyes were so red. And his broad aunt, the hippopotamus, spanked him with her broad hoof, dish, and he asked his tall uncle, the giraffe, why his skin was so spotty. And his tall uncle, the giraffe, spanked him with his hard hoof. Dish, and he asked his hairy uncle, the baboon, why melons tasted just so. And his hairy uncle, the baboon, spanked him with his hairy paw. Dish, and still he was full of insatiable curiosity. He asked questions about everything that he saw, or heard, or felt, or smelt, or touched. And all his uncles and his aunts spanked him. Now, one fine morning, in the middle of the procession of the equinoxes, this insatiable elephant's child asked a new, fine question that he had never asked before. He asked, what does a crocodile have for dinner? Then everybody said, hush, in a loud and dreadful tone. Hush! And they spanked him immediately, dish, and directly, dish, without stopping, dish, for a long time, dish. By and by, when that was finished, he came upon Collar bird, sitting in the middle of a wait-a-bit thorn bush, and he said, my mother has spanked me, and my father has spanked me, and all my uncles and aunts have spanked me for my insatiable curiosity, and still I want to know what the crocodile has for dinner. Then Collar bird said, with a mournful cry, go to the banks of the great grey, green, greasy Limpopo River. Oh, set about with fever trees and find out. That very next morning, this satiable elephant's child took 100 pounds of bananas, the little short red kind, and 100 pounds of sugar cane, the long purple kind, and 17 melons, the greeny crackly kind. And he went to all his dear families and he said, goodbye. I'm going to the banks of the great grey, green, greasy Limpopo River, all set about with fever trees, to ask the crocodile what he has for dinner. And they all spanked him, dish, once more for luck, dish. Though he asked them most politely to stop, dish, dish, dish. Oh, then he went on, yes, a little warm, but not at all astonished, eating melons and throwing the rind about because, well, he couldn't pick them up. He went from Grahamstown, down in the south of Africa, to Kimberley, in the middle, where there's a big hole in the ground, where they dug diamonds. And from Kimberley to Karma's country, where there are the remnants of the Hottentots and Bushmen living. And from Karma's country, east by north, from Karma's country, east by north, from Grahamstown to Kimberley, from Kimberley to Karma's country, from Karma's country, east by north, from Karma's country, east by, until he came at last to the banks of the great grey, green, greasy Limpopo River, all set about with fever trees, precisely as Collar Bird had said. Now, you must know and understand, O best beloved, that until that very day and week and hour, minute, this satiable elephant child had never seen a crocodile, and so he did not know what one was like. Now the first thing that he found was a bi-coloured python rock snake curled around a rock, and he said, very politely, excuse me, but do you happen to have seen such a thing as a crocodile in these promiscuous parts? Have I seen a crocodile? What will you ask me next? Excuse me, but will you kindly tell me what he has for dinner? Then the bi-coloured python rock snake uncurled himself very quickly from round the rock, and he spanked the elephant child with his scalesome, flailsome tail. Dish! That is odd. You see, because my mother has spanked me, and my father has spanked me, and all my uncles and aunts have spanked me, including my tall aunt the ostrich, and my broad aunt the hippopotamus, and my tall uncle the giraffe, and my hairy uncle the baboon. They've all spanked me for my insatiable courteosity, and I suppose that this is the same thing? Yes. So he went on, again a little warm, but not at all astonished, eating these melons and throwing the rind about, because, well, he couldn't pick them up, until he trod on what he thought was a log of wood at the very edge of the great grey, green, greasy Limpopo River, all set about with fever trees. But it was really the crocodile, oh best beloved. And the crocodile winked his one eye like this. Excuse Excuse me, said the elephant child, very politely, but do you happen to have seen such a thing as a crocodile in these promiscuous parts? Then the crocodile lifted half his tail out of the mud and winked his other eye. And the elephant child stepped back most politely because, well, he did not wish to be spanked again. Come hither, little one. Why do you ask such things? Excuse me, but as you see, my mother has spanked me, and my father has spanked me, and all my uncles and aunts have spanked me for my satiable courteosity, including my tall aunt the ostrich, and my broad aunt the hippopotamus, and my tall uncle the giraffe, and my hairy uncle the baboon, and including that biped python rock snake just up the bank with the scales, some flails, some tail, who can spank harder than any of them. So, if it is quite all the same with you, I do not wish to be spanked any more. Come hither, little one, for I am the crocodile. Then the elephant's child, he grew all breathless. And he panted, and he kneeled down on the bank, and he said, "You are the very person I have been looking for all these long days. Will you kindly tell me what you have for dinner?" Come hither, little one, and I'll whisper. So the crocodile put his head down close to the crocodile's musty, tusky mouth, and the crocodile caught him by his little nose, which until that very week and day and hour and minute had been no bigger than a boot, though much more useful. Today, said the crocodile, speaking through his teeth like this, today I think I shall begin with, now let me see, no, not that, no, not that either. I got it. Today, I think I shall begin with, elephant child. Then the elephant child grew much annoyed, and he said, speaking through his nose like this, "Let go, you are hurting me." Then the biped python rock snake scuttled down from the bank and said, "My young friend, if you do not now pull as hard as ever you can, it is my opinion that your acquaintance with that large patterned leather ulster," and by this he meant the crocodile, "will jerk you into yonder limpid stream before you can say Jack Robinson." This is the way biped python rock snakes always talk. So, the elephant's child sat back on his little haunches, and he pulled, and he pulled, and he pulled, and his nose began to stretch. Then the crocodile floundered into the water, making it all creamy with great sweeps of his tail, and he pulled, and pulled, and pulled, and the elephant child's nose kept on stretching. Then the elephant child spread all his 4 little legs, and he pulled and pulled and pulled, but his nose kept on stretching, and the crocodile threshed his tail like an oar, and he pulled and pulled and pulled, and with each pull, the elephant child's nose grew longer and longer until it hurt him hideous. Then the elephant child, he felt his little legs begin to slip, and he said, speaking through his nose, which was now nearly 5 feet long, "Oh, this is too much for me." Then the biped python rock snake scuttled down from the bank, knotted himself in a double slow hitch round the elephant child's hind legs, and said, Rash and inexperienced traveller, we shall now devote ourselves to a little high tension. For if we do not, it is my opinion that yonder self-propelling man of war with the armour-plated upper deck, and by this he meant the crocodile, will permanently vitiate your future career. And this is the way all bi-coloured python rock snakes always talk. So he pulled, and the elephant child pulled, and the crocodile pulled. But the elephant child and the bi-coloured python rock snake pulled hardest, till at last the crocodile let go of the elephant child's nose with a plop, which you could hear all up and down the Limpopo. Plop! Oh, then the elephant child fell back most hard and sudden. And then he was careful to say thank you to the bi-coloured python rock snake. And after, he was kind to his poor pulled nose. And he wrapped it all up in cool banana leaves. And he hung it in the great grey, green, greasy Limpopo River to cool. What are you doing that for? Excuse me, but as you can see, my nose is rather badly out of shape, and I'm waiting for it to shrink. Well, you're going to have to wait a rather long time. Some people do not know what is good for them. So the elephant child sat there for 3 days, waiting for his nose to shrink. But it never grew any shorter, and besides, oh best beloved, it made him squint. Now, at the end of the 3rd day, a fly came and stung him on the shoulder. Before he thought what he was doing, he lifted up his trunk and he hit that fly dead with the end of it. Vantage number 1. You couldn't have done that with a mere smear nose. Now, are you not rather hungry? And before he thought what he was doing, he plucked up a large bundle of grass, dusted it clean against his forelegs, and stuffed it into his mouth. Vantage number 2. You couldn't have done that with a mere smear nose. Now tell me, isn't the sun rather hot here? And before he thought what he was doing, he slooped up a sloop of mud from the banks of the great grey, green, greasy Limpopo River and slapped it on his head, where it made a nice new cool, slushy, squashy mud cap, all trickly behind the ears. Vantage number 3. You couldn't have done that with a mere smear nose. Now tell me, how do you feel about being spanked again? Oh, I should not like it at all. Well, how would you like to spank somebody? Oh, yes, I should like that very much indeed. Well, you just might find that new nose of yours very useful to spank people with. Oh. Oh, yes. And now I think I shall go home to all my dear families and try. So the elephant child set back across Africa, whisking and frisking his trunk. When he wanted fruit to eat, he would just pluck down fruit from a tree instead of waiting for it to fall, as he used to do. When he wanted grass to eat, he would pluck up grass from the ground instead of going down on his knees, as he used to do. When the flies bit him, he would break off a branch of a tree and use it as a fly whisk. And he made himself a nice new, cool, slushy, squashy mud cap. whenever the sun was hot. Now, when he felt lonely walking across Africa, he would sing to himself down his trunk. And the noise that he made was louder than several brass bands. One fine morning, he came home to all his dear families, and he curled up his trunk, and he said, "How do you do?" They were very glad to see him and said, "Come here and be spanked for your satiable courteosity." Pooh! You peoples don't know anything about spanking, but I do, and I'll show you. And he uncurled his trunk, and he knocked two of his dear brothers, head over heels. Oh, bananas! Where did you learn that trick? And what have you done to your nose? I got a new one from the crocodile. I asked him what he had for dinner, and he gave me this. To keep the show. It looks very ugly, said his hairy uncle the baboon. Oh, yes, it is, but it is very useful. And he picked up his hairy uncle the baboon, and he hove him into a hornet's nest. Ow, ow, ow! Then that bad elephant's child spanked all his dear families for a long time, until they were very warm and greatly astonished. He pulled out his tall ostrich aunt's tail feathers, and he shouted at his broad aunt the hippopotamus, and blew bubbles in her ears when she was asleep in the water after meals. And he caught his tall uncle the giraffe by the hind leg, and he dragged him through a thorn bush. And never let anyone touch Collar Bird. At last, things grew so exciting, and all his dear families went off, one by one, to the banks of the great grey-green greasy Limpopo River, all set about with fever trees, to borrow new noses from the crocodile. Now, when they got back, nobody spanked anybody anymore. And ever since that day, oh best beloved, all the elephants that you will ever see, besides all those that you won't, have trunks precisely like that trunk of the satiable elephant's child.
跟鳄鱼借一下鼻子。好，那我们现在进入中场休息时间，那大家可以喝点水。
Under the greenwood tree, who loves to lie with me, and turn his merry note unto the sweet bird's throat. Come hither, come hither, come hither, here shall he see no enemy, but winter and rough weather. Come live with me and be my love, and we will all the pleasures prove that hills and valleys, dales and fields, and all the craggy mountain yields. There will we sit upon the rocks, and see the shepherds feed their flocks by shallow rivers, to whose falls melodious birds sing madrigals. There will I make thee a bed of roses, with 1,000 fragrant posies, a cap of flowers, and a kirtle, embroidered all with leaves of myrtle, a belt of straw and ivy buds, with coral clasps and amber studs. And if these pleasures may thee move, then live with me and be my love. If that the world and love were young, and truth in every shepherd's tongue, these pretty pleasures might me move to live with thee and be thy love. Who doth ambition shun, and loves to live i' the sun, seeking the food he eats, and pleased with what he gets. Come hither, come hither, come hither, here shall he see no enemy, but winter and rough weather. As a dare-gale skylark scanted in a dull cage, man's mounting spirit in his bone house, mean house dwells. That bird beyond the remembering his free fells, this in drudgery, day laboring out life's age, though aloft on turf or perch or poor low stage, both sing sometimes the sweeter spells, yet both droop deadly sometimes in their cells, or ring their barriers in bursts of fear or rage. Not that the song-fowl, sweet-fowl, needs no rest. Why, hear her babble and drop down to her nest, but her own nest, wild nest, no prison. Man's spirit will be flesh-bound when found at best, but uncumbered. Meadow down is not distressed for a rainbow footing it, nor he for his bones risen. It was a lover and his lass, with a hey-ho, hey-nonny-no, that o'er the green cornfields did pass, in springtime, the only pretty ring time, springtime, the only pretty ring, when birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring. Full many a glorious morning have I seen flatter the mountain tops with sovereign eye, kissing with golden face the meadows green, gilding pale streams with heavenly alchemy. Anon permit the basest clouds to ride with ugly wrack on his celestial face, and from the forlorn world his visage hide, stealing unseen to west with this disgrace. Even so, my love one early morn did shine with all triumphant splendor on my brow. Yet out, alack, he was but 1 hour mine. The region cloud hath masked him from me now. Yet him for this my love no whit disdaineth. Sons of the world may stain, when heaven's sun staineth. Between the acres of the rye, with a hey-ho and a hey-nonny-no, these pretty country folk would lie. In springtime, the only pretty ring time, springtime, the only pretty ring, when birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring. Let me not ever married, true minds admit impediments. Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove. Oh no, it is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. It is the star to every wandering bark whose worth's unknown, although his height be taken. Love's not time's fool, though rosy lips and cheeks within his bending sickle's compass come. Love alters not with his brief hours and weeks, but bears it out even to the edge of doom. If this be error, and upon me proved, I never writ, nor no man ever loved. This carol they began that hour with a hey-ho, hey-nonny-no. How that a life was but a flower in springtime, the only pretty ring time. Springtime, the only pretty ring, when birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring. It's soft. What light through yonder window breaks? Oh, it is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who was already sick and pale with grief, that thou her maid art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks. Yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eye discourses. I will answer it. No, I am too bold. 'Tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? Why, the brightness of her cheek would shame those stars as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream so bright that birds would sing and think it were not night. Oh me, see how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, being all my head, as is the winged messenger of heaven unto the white upturned wandering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him when he bestrides the lazy pacing clouds and sails upon the bosom of the air. So therefore take this present time with a hey-ho, hey-nonny-no, for love is crowned with the prime. In springtime, the only pretty ring time, springtime, the only pretty ring, when birds do sing, hey ding-a-ding, sweet lovers love the spring. A snake came to my water trough on a hot, hot day, and I, in pajamas for the heat, to drink there, in the strange, deep-scented shade of the great, dark carob tree. I came down the steps with my pitcher, and must wait, must stand and wait, for there he was at the trough before me. He reached down from a fissure in the earth wall in the gloom and trailed his yellow-brown slackness soft-bellied down over the edge of the stone trough and rested his throat upon the stone bottom. And where the water had dripped from the tap in a small clearness, he sipped with his straight mouth, softly drank through his straight gums into his slack, long body, silently. Someone was before me at my water trough, and I, like a second comer, waiting. He lifted his head from his drinking, as cattle do, and looked at me vaguely, as drinking cattle do, then stooped and drank a little more, being earth-brown, earth-golden, from the burning bowels of this earth on the day of Sicilian July, with Etna smoking. The voice of my education said to me, he must be killed, for in Sicily the black snakes are innocent, the gold are venomous. And voices in me said, if you were a man, you would pick up a stick and break him now and finish him off. But must I confess how I liked him? How glad I was he had come like a guest in quiet to drink at my water trough and depart peaceful, pacified and thankless into the burning bowels of this earth. Was it cowardice that I dared not kill him? Was it humility that I longed to speak to him? Was it perversity that I longed to speak to him? I felt so honored. And yet, those voices, if you were not afraid, you would kill him. And truly, I was afraid. I was most afraid. Yet even so, honored still more that he should seek my hospitality from out the dark door of the secret earth. He drank enough and lifted his head dreamily as one who has drunken, and flickered his tongue like a forked knife on the air so black, seeming to lick his lips, and looked around like a god, unseeing into the air, and slowly, very slowly, as if thrice a dream, proceeded to draw his slow length curving round and climb again the broken bank of my wall face. And as he put his head into that dreadful hole, and as he slowly drew up, snake easing his shoulders and entered farther, a sort of horror, a sort of protest against his withdrawing into that horrid black hole, deliberately going into the blackness and drawing himself after, overcame me. Now his back was turned. I looked round. I put down my pitcher. I picked up a clumsy log and I threw it at the water trough with a clatter. I think it did not hit him, but suddenly that part of him that was left behind convulsed in undignified haste, writhed like lightning, and was gone into the black hole, the earth-lit fissure in the wall front, at which in the intense still noon I stared with fascination. Are you willing to be made nothing, dipped into oblivion? If not, you will never really change. The phoenix renews her youth only when she is burnt alive, burned down to hot and flocculent ash. Then, the small stirring of a new small bump in the nest with strands of down like floating ash shows that she is renewing her youth, like the eagle, immortal birth. Oh, mistress mine, where are you roaming? Oh, stay and hear your true love coming, who can sing both high and low. Trip no further, pretty sweetly sweeting, journeys end in lovers meeting, every wise man's son doth know. When to the sessions of sweet silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's dateless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and moan the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I grieve at grievances foregone, and heavily from woe to woe tell o'er the sad account of full bemoaned moan which I new pay, as if not paid before. I, wretch, may wrestling with God, my God. Come away, death, and in sad cypress let me be laid. Fly away, breath. I am slain by a fair cruel maid. My shroud of white stuck all with you. Prepare, oh prepare it. My part of death no one so true did share it. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end them. To die, to sleep no more, and by asleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. Oh, 'tis a consummation devoutly to be wished. To die, to sleep. Perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, the oppressor's wrong, the proud man's contumely, the pangs of despised love, the law's delay, the insolence of office, and the spurs that patient merit of the unworthy takes, when he himself might his quietus make with a bare bodkin? Who would fathers bear to grunt and sweat under a weary life, that the dread of something after death, that undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will, and makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others we know not of. Thus conscience doth make cowards of us all, and thus the native hue of resolution is sicklied o'er with the pale cast of thought, and enterprises of great pith and moment with this regard their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Soft you now, the fair of Shakespeare, and if in thy horizons be all my sins remembered. Not a flower sweet, on my black coffin let there be strown. Not a friend greet my poor corse, when my bones shall be thrown. A thousand sighs to save. Lay me, oh lay me, where sad sweet lover never find my grave to weep there. Every night and every morn, some to misery are born. Every morn and every night, some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to sweet delight. Some are born to endless night. We are led to believe a lie when we see not through the eye which was born in a night to perish in a night, when the soul slept in beams of light. God appears, and God is light to those poor souls who dwell in night. But does the human form display to those who dwell in realms of day? Full fathom 5, thy father lies, of his bones a coral made, and death shall have no dominion. Dead men naked, they shall be one with the man in the wind and the west moon. When their bones are picked clean, and the clean bones gone, they shall have stars at elbow and foot. Though they be mad, they shall be sane. Though they sink through the sea, they shall rise again. Though lovers be lost, love shall not. And death shall have no dominion. And death shall have no dominion. Under the windings of the sea, they lying long shall not die windily, twisting on racks when sinews give way, strapped to a wheel, yet they shall not break. Faith in their hands shall snap in two, and the unicorn evils run them through, split all ends up. They shan't crack, and death shall have no dominion. And death shall have no dominion. No more may gulls cry at their ears, or waves break loud on the seashore. Where blue flower, may a flower no more lift its head to the blows of the rain. Though they be mad and dead as nails, heads of the characters hammer through daisies, break in the sun till the sun breaks down, and death shall have no dominion. Full fathom 5, thy father lies, of his bones are coral made. Those are pearls that were his eyes, nothing of him that doth fade, but doth suffer a sea change into something rich and strange. Sea nymphs hourly ring his knell, ding dong. Hark, now I hear them, ding dong, bell, bell. Not I, not I, but the wind that blows through me. A fine wind is blowing the new direction of time. If only I let it bear me, carry me, if only it carry me, if only I am sensitive, subtle, oh, delicate, a winged gift, only most lovely of all, I yield myself and am borrowed by the fine, fine wind that takes its course through the chaos of the world like a fine and exquisite chisel, a wedge blade inserted. If only I am keen and hard like the sheer tip of a wedge driven by invisible blows, the rock will split. We shall come at the wonder. We shall find the Hesperides. Oh, for the wonder that bubbles into my soul. I would be a good fountain, a good wellhead, would blur no whisper, spoil no expression. What is the knocking? What is the knocking at the door in the night? Is there somebody who wants to do us harm? No. No. It is the three strange angels. Admit them. Admit them. When that I was but a little tiny boy, with a hey-ho, the wind and the rain, a foolish thing was but a toy. For rain it raineth every day. But when I came to man's estate, with a hey-ho, the wind and the rain, 'gainst knaves and thieves men shut their gate. For the rain it raineth every day. But when I came, alas, to wive, with a hey-ho, the wind and the rain, by swaggering could I never thrive. For the rain it raineth every day. But when I came unto my beds, with a hey-ho, the wind and the rain, with tosspot still had drunken heads. For the rain it raineth every day. A great while ago the world begun, with a hey-ho, the wind and the rain. That's all one. Now play is done, and we'll strive to please you every day.
大家今天的表演就到这边了，那希望你们都有一个很好的、很精彩的这样子的收获啊！祝你们有一个美好的夜晚。